Good evening, family, friends, colleagues, community. I'd like to thank you for coming out to have this critical conversation with our outstanding and awesome new superintendent, Dr. Beasley. I'm Gary Townsend, principal of Drew High School. The Drew family would like to welcome you here today. So I'm sure you're in for a treat. Sit back and relax. Dr. Beasley.
Thank you, Mr. Principal. Mr. Townsend, let's give our principal a great round of applause. Mr. Townsend provides great leadership to a very large school. This school was impacted by enrollment balance in phase 1, and we brought kids from several communities without incident. Now, that doesn't mean that they hadn't cut up a little since the first day of school. We know how children can be sometimes. But thank you all for bringing those communities together. I don't need this. That's it. All right, bringing the communities together and just providing our students a good environment atmosphere. So it feels good when you walk on the campus to see kids learning in class, teachers teaching, kids getting along, and even some of the transition events that you conducted, I thought they were well planned, well attended, and clearly the parents appreciate what you all are doing. So just keep up the good work. My philosophy is, everybody deserves a good school, don't they? Yes. And I believe that you ought to make good memories while you're matriculating through K-12 education. And so that's really what it's about, ensuring that our kids are college and career ready. They have a good experience because they spend a lot of time in these buildings, don't they? So we appreciate what you're doing. And so where's the speaker? That's probably the feedback we got to be mindful of. So thank you all for being here today. We appreciate you. This is a rescheduled critical conversation. You all remember we had a storm a few days and we had to cancel. And so this is a rescheduled event. And we have scheduled a few more. We always have our vocal parent, Ms. Harrison, that calls on me to do more work, which is okay.
Call me out.
That's all right. Call me out. So I'm just paying in kind. But she said, go into the community. So we scheduled 3 more in the community. Then I got a location today. I told someone to send to you, Dr. Anderson, to send to you some center or something in the Morrow area that they want us to come by and do a session there. So I told them we'll have to look at the calendar and see how we can schedule that. So we're trying to get in the community, and this is what I'll tell you. I'll put on my little pastoral hat. I need the parents to bring the other parents. Sheep to get sheep, don't they? And so while we're coming, I need parents to corral the other parents. Y'all come and take advantage of these opportunities. We don't mind coming. I enjoy engaging with the community. I just think this is what we should do, and we need to do more of it in our school system. So if you all would, just as you come to these sessions, share with other parents what's happening at the sessions, and then encourage them, and you bring along some other people so we can hear and have some robust conversation. So very quickly, we have an agenda, and I don't know, how many of you have come to the other critical conversations, any other community meetings? And we follow the same format, and so just so you'll know, we'll go over the areas of focus that we have. We'll talk about the data, give you a chance to look at the data, and we'll talk about the opportunities for our stakeholders, and in the process, we'll entertain any questions and provide answers to the extent that we can. If there's a question that we can't provide an answer to, we'll research it, but I think we've been doing pretty good. I don't think any questions have been too difficult, terribly difficult, that we've not been able to provide answers to. And so, but we want you to feel comfortable, so if you want to just, pause me and ask a question, feel free to just raise your hand and we'll get the question answered for you. So you don't have to necessarily wait to the end, to the Q&A. So there are 5 areas of focus that we've shared widely, and if you've not heard of these areas of focus, then I need you to just make sure you come to board meetings, going on the website, going into Infinite Campus, because you all know we're posting all the announcements in Infinite Campus. Every parent should be checking the grades, shouldn't they? And so if they're checking grades, anything that's important for parents to know, we're putting in Infinite Campus in the announcement section. And so we're encouraging our parents to check Infinite Campus. But there are 5 areas of focus, and I'll just I won't read them to you verbatim, but I just want you to know that the first one is really about instruction and ensuring that our schools and our classrooms provide the academic environment that we should have. I want to pause here. Valencia C. is one of our elected officials. Raise your hand, be recognized. I see a principal over there of that school called King Elementary School. Dr. Jackson is over there. Good to see you here. Any other principals I see? Ms. Dickerson of Anderson, right? I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. All these schools. I see, and which school? You? Lake City. Very good. Don't tell me. I'm going to get your name. Erica.
Erica's the principal.
That's the principal. You're one of the administrators, though, right? Very good. Lake City. Okay. Brown. Very good. Any other schools represented? Riverdale High School. Very good. Yeah, I know that face. Riverdale. Very good. Very good.
M.D. Roberts.
M.D. Roberts. Okay. You already told me. Forest Park. Very good. Who else? So we're doing pretty good. Good representation. Thank you all for being here on tonight. Parents are right here. So we got.
Oh, we need a school bus for the next one. We're going to round these
Okay.
parents up.
Okay. So you see who volunteered to help us round parents up, putting them to work, right?
We got to round
That's
them up.
right. We got buses. We got a lot of buses. We got tons of buses that we can use. So with our parents here, let's give our parents a hand. Thank you all for here. Any students? I see some students on laptops over there. Student? Good to see you. Let's give our student a hand. So back to the areas of focus. The first area of focus is really about instruction, as I've already shared. And basically, we expect that all of our students are being taught the grade level content for the grade level that they're on. And if they're, of course, in any school, in any classroom, we expect those environments to be safe. We expect those environments to be supportive. We expect those environments to reflect the highest quality of instruction. And we're going to work to that end. Right now, we've got some variability, if you will, some high, some low, some in between. And we've got to work to improve that. And so we are working to do that. Number two is providing academic and wraparound support. As you know, we've got several students, many students who are not necessarily on grade level, which means we've got to provide some support to help those students achieve grade level content mastery. And we've got to ensure that we address whatever prior grade deficits that they have. That is work that is ongoing. And we're in a strategy mode here in Clayton County, and that we're working to ensure that we provide the grade level instruction. At the same time, we're going to boost up those kids and remediate those deficit skills with the intention, as we'll talk in a few minutes and show you in a few minutes, with the intention of moving more of our kids to the higher levels of performance, being the proficient and distinguished levels. So we do have a strategy. We've got several things that we're working on, and we expect to see higher levels of performance over time. The third area, of course, is professional development. I always think of John Maxwell's law of the lid. The organization will go no higher than the leader. The students will go no higher than the classroom teacher. If you want high-performing students, you've got to have high-performing leaders and teachers. That means you need to have a high-performing superintendent. You need to have a high-performing executive team. You need to have high-performing central office people. You need to have high-performing principals. You need to have high-performing teachers. And in order to do that, that means we spend time in developing ourselves. Relative to our teachers, we work with them to develop their content knowledge and their pedagogy. That's just our little word of saying their instructional strategies and the way they handle, if you will, manage the classroom. And then as it pertains to leadership, how we train our leaders to lead organizations, the school, to higher levels of performance. We know that there are certain practices that should consistently occur in order for a school to achieve the status of high performing. And the principal is uniquely positioned to ensure that that occurs. And so our role at the central office is to always support our principals and teachers. We are very clear about the two groups that exist in this school system within this family: those who teach and those who support teaching. Those of us who are not assigned to teach students are in the group that supports teaching. And so we're here to support our principals as they support teachers. And of course, all of us are here to support our classroom teachers, because we know that that is a very complex job and they need all the support and resources necessary in order to achieve the outcomes that we desire of them. The next area is family and community engagement. This is an example of that, but you'll see not just this opportunity, you will see numerous opportunities relative to family and community engagement. And we're just into August, September, October, the third month of school, but it's moving rather quickly. But you will see as we implemented a new department called Engagement, Governmental Relations and Partnerships, which will help us maximize all the resources that we have in our community toward engaging our community, toward partnering with our community, and supporting our students. That's really what it's all about. A term that I like to use is community development. The school system is working with our community to develop the infrastructure, if you will, to build our students to take them to higher levels. And I'm telling you all, it takes more than just the school to do that. It takes a community effort if you're going to not only address the reading and math scores, but there are things that happen to students every day outside of the classroom that impacts how they learn in the classroom. And so it takes a community working together to mitigate for those issues and to ensure that our students have the resources and the opportunities that they need in order to be successful. And the last area is communication, public relations, marketing to improve our community support and image. It is important, and I'll say this as often as I get an opportunity to say it. If we expect good teachers, families to move to our community, we've got to have good schools and we've got to have stories of success. Don't expect people to sell their houses where they are or to buy their first house in this community if we're not going to be a successful community. And we've got to ensure, and I tell people, what's put in the media about our children, it all matters. It all matters. You know, if you go to any high-performing district in this nation, I can assure you it's one that's very careful and selective about the messages it sends about its children. Not to say that there are any perfect communities. There are no perfect communities. But I can assure you that there are some communities who understand that one thing you don't want to do is make your children look bad and call your children bad and disciplined, undisciplined, because when you do that, you are basically telling your future employees that if you come here, you're going to have nothing but drama and nothing but trouble. And so our goal is to ensure that we tell the story the way it should be told. Our kids are very good kids. If you go into any school, and I've been into many, and if you go to any school any time of day, I'm telling you, I don't see schools that are out of control. I go into classrooms and I see teachers teaching. Are there opportunities for improvement? Of course there are. But we need to get the message out that our kids are good. Now, does that mean that in any 1 year we won't have a fight or two? Yeah, you'll have a fight or two. You put two people in a room, you're going to have a conflict at some point. So when you got a building of 1,800 young people, yeah, you're going to have some conflicts. And anybody with any bit of common sense knows that. Is if you were raised in a family, I just had two brothers, and I can remember a fist fight or two. Not that mom and family supported that, but the truth of the matter is that things happen. Now, are there not things that we should be doing to mitigate and creating a culture of high expectations? Of course. But what I don't like is when people see one incident and they just assess all of our children because of one incident. That is just not appropriate, and we should not allow that. We just should not allow that. We deal with the situation, we hold our young people accountable, but we keep everything in perspective. We keep it in perspective. And so those are the 5 areas of focus, and you'll see throughout this year and the years to come, our actions are very much aligned to those 5 areas of focus. Very intentional. Our goal is to produce a high-performing school district. We are very clear. We have a framework. We know exactly what characteristics should be prevalent, if you will, in a high-performing school and a high-performing school district. And we're working to ensure that that is the case in our school district. We know exactly what needs to occur relative to leadership and establishing that coherence in order to move a system in the right direction toward a common vision, a common set of goals in order to produce consistent and to sustain those outcomes. And that's exactly what we're doing. Meetings like this help us do that because we need you all support. It's not a us versus you. And I want everybody to understand my approach to education. I've never taken the approach when I was a classroom teacher, a sub, a classroom teacher, a principal, an assistant principal. It's always, the community has to always work together. It can't be us versus them, teachers versus administrators. I can assure you when that type dynamic exists, you will never achieve a level of excellence and high performance. You gotta always realize that as a team, kind of like a football team. You know, young folk just doing what they need to be doing. Practicing. But on a football team, everybody plays, or any team, everybody has a position, right? But they gotta work together in order to win the game. And all of us may have a position. My position today is the superintendent. We've got a security person here. You may be a parent. You may be over operations and HR, board member. And let's recognize Ms. Johnson, our board member. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for being here. Principal, AP, others, interpreters. All of us have a position to play. But when we play our positions and we play it well and we agree on those common set of goals, then we are more likely, more inclined to win. More likely, more inclined to win. And so I want you to see very quickly what I'm going to do is talk about the data. But I want to make sure you know some individuals who are helping me in this work. And so we've got our principals, we've got our teachers, we've got our assistant principals, school level staff. But we also have individuals who report directly to the superintendent. So I see Dr. Simpson over there, Dr. Simpson. He's our Deputy Superintendent for School Leadership and Improvement. You should know he directly supervises all schools and the assistant superintendents who the principals report to. That's important for you to know. The assistant superintendents, I don't see any of them here today, but I've got Dr. Smith, our second in command over here. You all know Dr. Smith. He's been in this community for 50 years. We love Dr. Smith. He's been around. He knows Clayton. He's supported Clayton. He's helped it through several administrations. And he's been an asset to this community and to our administration. We've got our newest deputy superintendent who's joined the team, Dr. Sandra Nunez, over student support services and federal programs. We're pleased to have her. And you should know that area includes many areas, departments, including special education and nurses, psychologists, etc., counseling, and I can just go on and on and on, but we're glad to have her. And Chief has been around. Chief and I came in the district at the same time, didn't we? Yes, sir. Chief of Security, Chief Treywick. He's the one who's helping us. You heard about the tip line, hopefully. He's helping working with schools, mobilizing as we learn of issues, we mobilize staff and resources in order to make it better for our children. And then we've got our new department or division, I guess I should call it, Mr. Wendell Spiva heading our engagement, governmental relations, and partnerships. Just helping us have a more coordinated effort to engaging our community, establishing the partnerships, and making sure we have a voice at every level of government. Every level of government. While I'm interacting with all of the elected officials and I'm meeting with them, I need somebody who I know, if the legislature is in session, he's down there representing us because I can't be there every day. But I know I got somebody who I can say, I need you there. If there's a committee meeting going on and we need a voice, I tell people, you're not the 5th largest district in the state and not have a voice when policy is being made. You don't ever do that. You just don't allow it. You make sure you're at the table. You don't allow people to make decisions about your children and you're not at the table. And so we'll have a voice, all of us, and you may see all of us in and out while the legislature is in session. because we need to have a voice and a what? A presence. They need to hear us. They need to understand our perspective. Because what are we doing while we're there? We're advocating for our school system, our children. And I just believe that's important. Listen, if it wasn't important for them to be there, they wouldn't be there. And if it's important enough for them to be there, then it's important enough for us to be there, isn't it? And so we're pleased to have that new department. As he builds that department, we continue to lend support. So let's go very quickly into the data. And what you have, hopefully you have a document that has 6 pages. 6 pages. And I won't go through all of these pages or all the data, but I'll just point out certain aspects of the data which I think are important for us to know, because you need to get an idea as to the work that we're working on, the data that we're working on. I need this community to be informed. We need this community to be informed. So look on page 1 of 6. There are 2 charts there. There's a top and a bottom chart for grades 3 through 8 ELA and math data. Let's look at the ELA data. And again, I won't go through every piece of data here, but if you will, locate for ELA 3rd grade. Everybody located 3rd grade? You have district data, you have MRESA data, that's the Metro RESA data, that's the average of all the metropolitan school districts data, and then you have the data for Georgia. So I want you to locate the district data. Everybody there? Now there are 4 columns there that have the initials or the letters BL, DL, PL, DS. BL is beginning level, DL is developing level, PL is the proficient level, DS is the distinguished. BL and DL are the 2 lowest performing categories, and PL and DS are the 2 highest performing categories. We want our students in the PL and the DS categories. Everybody see that? But look at 3rd grade. What percent of our 3rd grade students in this past spring performed at the BL level? What percent? Everybody see 45%? What percent performed at the DL level? 34. That's about 79%, isn't it? If you add those 2 together. At the lowest level. And so our work is to move those 79% to the what? To the highest level. And that's what our strategy is really about. It's important. Look at our total in the green column. Everybody see the total in the green column for 3rd grade? Proficient and higher is what percent for 3rd grade ELA? 21%. Now look at the MRESA. What's the MRESA, the average of the metropolitan districts? What's their average? 40%. And what's the average for Georgia? 36. And so we got a little gap there, don't we? Our work is to close that gap. And as a matter of fact, our work is to close the gap and to become higher performing than the MRESA and the state of Georgia. Let's go to 8th grade ELA. Skip on down to 8th grade. Let's stay in the green column. What's the total for the percent PL plus DSL? For 8th grade at ELA is 28%, isn't it? What's the MRESA? 46, and what's Georgia? You see the gap there? So we've got a little work to do. Now, I want you all to be clear. We want to close the gap between the MRESA and Georgia, or I want to be clear. But if you look at the data, the state and the MRESA are struggling to get kids performing proficient and higher, aren't they? Yeah. We've got rigorous standards, Common Core, they call them whatever they want to call them, Georgia Standards of Excellence, but they're Common Core standards. Teachers are having to teach at a higher level now, which means that we've got to get our kids to perform at a higher level. And so, yeah, we're going to close the gap, but we're not pleased with even the data for the MRESA in Georgia. We want to be well higher than that. Our goal is to flip the data. Let's go to mathematics, and I'll go for mathematics, go to grade 5 in mathematics. For mathematics for the district, in the green column, proficient and distinguished. For 5th grade, what percent is proficient and higher? In the green column, you see 21%? What's the MRESA? 41 for 5th grade, and for Georgia? 37. So clearly we got a gap again we want to close, but our goal is to close that gap and to keep going higher than even MRESA in Georgia. Now my question to you all is, can we do it? If you don't believe we can do it, you don't need to be here. I don't need to be here. Because our children need people who believe that they can what? Do it. The question is, do we have a strategy? And I would submit to you today, we got a strategy. Oh, we have a strategy. And you're going to see some fundamental shifts in our data. You're going to see more students performing at those two upper ends than you do at the two lower ends. If you will, I'm going to skip pages 2 and 3. You can go and compare our data with the other MRESA school districts. I'll let you do that. But if you will, go to page 4 of 6. I want you to see, since we looked at grades 3 through 8, let's look at the high school level real quickly. So locate district data, and let's go to 9th grade literature. So locate the green column. What percent is proficient? 34. What's the percent for MRESA? And what's the percent for Georgia? So we got a gap, but even the MRESA, you still got about half of students in the MRESA in Georgia not performing, right? So we want to close the gap, and we can, and we are going to close the gap. But you all here, once we close the gap, we can't be satisfied. Because if you got 50% that are, that means you got 50% that aren't. Does that make sense? And then I want you to look at the last page. And again, you can take this with you and look at it. Now we've released the 2017 graduation data. So this is from 2016. But our grad rate in 2016 was 69.1. The grad rate has gone up by 0.5 of a point. It's now 69.6. We are going to get over that 70. But for this year, notice in 2016 we had some schools below 60. This is our first year to have all schools above 60%. So we got all schools above 60% this year. That information has already been released to you. But it's important. If you say round up about 70% grad rate, that means 7 out of 10 students are graduating. If 7 out of 10 are graduating, that means 3 out of 10 are what? Are not. It's our commitment to make sure we work with those 3 out of 10 to get them graduated as well. And not just graduated, you all, because I don't just look at the GMAS data. I look at the ACT, SAT data. I look at the NAEP data. I look at all of the national data. And I look at the post-secondary data that the governor's, the GOSA website has. And I look at the number of our kids who need remedial courses and all of that. And honestly, we don't just want to get them graduated, but we want them in college, learning something post-secondary, and we want them doing well. We want them doing well. And so I share that data with you because I want everybody to understand that data is not a Dr. Beasley problem. This is all of our what? This belongs to all of us. And that's why the community has to come together. You may not agree with everything that we do, but I tell you what, it means a lot if you can understand that we're trying to move our district forward and you support those efforts. I can tell you this, I can promise you this, everything that we do will always be in the best interest of children. I don't believe in doing policies for the sake of doing policies. The question is this good for children? And if it's not good for children, we had a conversation today about a policy, didn't we? That we thought is not good for children because it impacts the morale of our staff. And so we're questioning things. And we want you to come to these meetings as parents because we need your input, your feedback. This is our collective effort. This is our school system. And so we need everybody engaged in the process. You'll notice that there are advisories occurring, there are critical conversations occurring, and we'll continue to do these things. As we hear concerns, we're taking the concerns back to the leadership team. We're going through some root cause analysis, trying to figure out why does this concern exist, and we're working to implement strategies to address those concerns. So when we come back to those groups, we're coming back with, this is the concern that you gave us, this is the issue that we identified, this is the solution that we implemented, and we need your feedback to let us know if you think it's working or not. That's important. That is important. It's called continuous improvement. It's called continuous improvement. Now, you will never hear me promise you a great school year, because I got enough sense and I've been around the barn enough to know that everything's not going to ever go perfect. But I can tell you this, you can get a commitment that we're going to do what's good for all children in our school district. And honestly, I don't let people define my school year. And I say, great. I always have a great year, because I don't let one incident tell me that it's not a great year. Things happen. The question is, how do we respond, but how do we help our children to not get stuck and to make progress even when things happen? Life happens. You have to teach resilience. You know, sometimes, we've all been there, sometimes a kid will get a grade in a class that they don't like, but they can't say, they just can't shut down. They got to come back, and you got to refine, retool, and revise your strategy in order to get the outcomes that you like. And that's what we've got to do as adults for our children. We try different things, we implement strategies. If it's working, great. We celebrate it, we keep it moving. If we see that it's not working, then we figure out, okay, what about our implementation is flawed? What can we do to revise it, refine it? We work together as adults, we fix it, we tweak it, we continue to monitor it, and we achieve the outcomes that we desire to achieve. But we can't do it disjointed. We have to be on the same page. The word that I like is coherent. We've got to be working toward the same vision. We're all individuals, but we've got to be working collectively toward a common goal, common goals, and a common vision. Realizing that while we're working together, I try to tell adults this, while you're working, sometimes your elbow hit other adults, don't they? So, I tell folks, sometimes things happen, but, wise people realize that. My grandmother always used to teach me, remember, fools fall out with each other. Wise folk disagree, but fools fall out with each other. So she said, don't be a fool. And so I would say, we may disagree, but let's keep working together so we can do what's good for our what? Our children. Our children. And I know it's different, right here in all of us, you've got a diverse community. Everybody has their own perspective. But I believe if we learn how to channel those multiple perspectives into a common cause, a common vision, we will see improved outcomes. So I think I've shared the high points of the information today relative to our areas of focus. You'll see a lot going on, even here at Drew High School. We've got a new firefighter pathway, don't we? This year we're implementing, we've got kids learning to be firefighters. When they graduate from high school, they can go right into a 40,000 plus year job. Firefighters, and not only that, they can be EMTs. That is excellent. I got a cousin today, the first one in our family to be a firefighter. He's working, being a firefighter, and I think because of their schedule, he also works at one of the local hospitals doing EMT. So I said, boy, you're making some good money, aren't you? Working hard. But it takes being qualified, doesn't it? And that's exactly what we're doing. We have that program here and at Monday's Mill. We're working to implement aviation at Morrow High School and North Clayton High School. So this is our planning year with the intention of having those programs in place, students participating in those programs in the fall of next year. We're looking at all of our career technology programs just to ensure that we're preparing our kids for jobs within the next 10 years, 20 years, and beyond. It's important. We're looking at developing a career in college academy. And so when you hear about the next SPLOS, which is important, hopefully within the next few weeks, months, you'll start hearing more about not just SPLOS 5, because SPLOS 5 will be over in 2 years, but we need to be voting for the next SPLOS, because we got some new schools that we need, don't we, Ms. Johnson? Amen. Yeah, we need a new Morrow High School. We need a new Jonesboro High School. We need a new North Clayton High School. We need a new college and career. Let me tell you why we need a college and career academy. Because a lot of districts are drawing families with those college and career academies that basically have programs, sometimes are more expensive programs, that you can't put in every high school, but they are the place where the students from around the district come and get training, and they have school-based enterprises. So we're working to develop college and career academy. We also need to expand our pre-K. We've got to understand that we need more kids in our pre-K. We know that kindergarten, did you all know that kindergarten is still optional? Did you all know that? Yeah. Even though we have a lot of kids who still come to kindergarten, I would say about 96–7% of the population, you still have some families who don't allow their children to come to kindergarten. Yeah, it's still optional. And so, but the research is clear. Sometimes kids who come from certain environments, they may not necessarily come ready, and pre-K helps us to close that gap. And so we want to expand and have more opportunities for pre-K in our district. So we've got a lot that we're doing. We're working on some strategies. Of course, literacy, numeracy, critical thinking are our district-wide academic initiatives. We're working to improve in those areas. But we're making sure that our focus is in the right areas, that our work, our energies are being expended in the right areas in order to achieve the outcomes that we want. So I'll pause here to see if we have any questions, comments, things you want us to consider, things you want us to go back and review, or take another look at, or second look at. Let us know. That's what we're here to do. We're here to work with you. If you have some accolades or what's working, we'll take that too. That's good feedback. If you have some, this is not working, let us know so we can go back as a team and figure out what we need to do to make it better for all of our students, But I just want you all to know, if you need any support, that's what we're here for. We are here to serve our community. And honestly, we enjoy doing that, don't we, you all? It's our pleasure. We're honored to do it. And we're having fun doing it. We're having fun doing it, supporting our principals and teachers the way it should be. The way it should be. Okay?
Any questions? Just raise your hand and I'll come to you. And if you would state your name and your organization, then pose your question.
Hi, my name is Tom Wynn. I'm part of the NAACP of Clayton County. So this one question is this. Do we have a support system to provide information for our undocumented student population, especially those that are graduating into the real world?
Very good question, Tom. We've got some individuals here who work very closely with various departments, but all of our principals are here to support all of our students. And let me make sure we're very clear. If they live in our community, we educate them, whether they're documented or not. Does that make sense? We educate everybody who comes to the school. Our role as a school system is to teach and to ensure kids are what? Learning. Yes, we have to deal with what's happening politically, but the federal laws and the law on the books are very clear. We educate all students. And all means what? All. All means all. And so, Dr. Jimenez, would you like to add anything to that relative to?
That's what we have to say in relation to the students who are, I have the teacher's voice. We are recording. Those students, we make sure that we educate all, as Dr. Beasley said, because we understand our responsibility to prepare the students for the world of work. That is the support that we provide at our schools. We make sure that our community knows it. We make sure that the students feel safe being in school, and that they will receive the same quality education that every other student is receiving. That's what we're here for.
That's our role. That's our commitment, and we'll do it no other way.
Good evening. My name is Keith Parker. I'm a retiree. And my question is, I'm looking here at this potential career opportunities and pathways. But are there actually specifically any apprenticeship programs that may be instituted into this to allow our students to earn also while they learn?
That's a great question. As a matter of fact, we are currently right now in the meeting with various partners and companies to ensure that we have more apprenticeships and internships offered to our students. So that's an area that our team, partnerships, our career technology, and myself, we've been meeting with car dealerships, we're meeting with other business partners to ensure that our kids are getting many opportunities to participate in, as a part of the pathways that they are currently participating in. So what I would tell you today is that that's an area that we will be sharing more information in. As a matter of fact, our goal is to get as many of our school students in a paid internship by next summer. We're going to have some things we're rolling out in the spring, but I would tell you that there's an opportunity for us, and let me give you all a strategy as community people. You all go to businesses, and you all are supporting the businesses, you ask them how many students are from Clayton. And if they can tell you none, then you say, then I need to connect you to Dr. Beasley or his staff so we can get jobs. Sometimes they may not have a large number of employees, but sometimes it's one or two. One or two here and there adds up to be hundreds, doesn't it? And that's important. So what I would say to all of us, those of us who spend money, we have a responsibility to have those conversations. While we're doing our part. We're building those relationships. We are working to increase the number of internships. But I'm going to give you as a community member something to do. As you go into these establishments, you ask, how many of you are students from Clayton County? And you talk to the managers and the business owners and say, you know what? We are currently working to increase the number of our students who are working in their community. And we will work. If you got a business contact, let us know about that contact, or allow them to contact us, because we are working to do that. But remember, that's all of our responsibility. You got to put some customer pressure on them too. While we are working to develop those relationships, a little customer pressure doesn't hurt. Okay.
Hello, my name is Carolyn Mazik, and I am the Education Chair for the Clayton Branch NAACP. And I'm kind of going to change the course just a little, but I hear your plan, and it does sound, quite well, and I do see some changes that have been made here in the county. But my question is that what type of plan do you have, a strategic plan do you have in order to help our young people get to that level that you're speaking in terms of, by making sure we keep the teachers that are, to go out and get teachers to be in the classroom versus having so many substitute teachers. Not to say that substitute teachers not qualified, but to make sure we keep our teachers and to get teachers permanent in the classroom. Have you and the board ever thought about, and I want to throw this out here, looking at the pay schedule for our teachers? Because a lot of teachers I know that I have spoken to are saying because of the once a month salary, it kind of moves them to other counties that pay twice a month.
Okay. Well, you asked several questions in that one comment. I'm going to answer all your questions. That's a good question. You said, what kind of plan do we have? Currently we're rewriting our strategic plan, and one of the goals in the current plan is to recruit, retain, and basically hire some very competent people. And so I anticipate going forward that goal will still be a part of the strategic plan as we revise it, and we'll have some very clear strategies that we're utilizing. Now, we are using strategies today. You should know that, Dr. Smith, in the past 3 to 5 years, we've had about 250 vacancies each year. We're down to about 60 vacancies now. And so we're working diligently. Now, you mentioned pay. And if you need me to give you this study, I can show you, but our pay is competitive. I've looked at the MRESA, the state Clayton County's pay is listed as one of the top areas. So oftentimes they don't leave because of pay. They leave because they don't like the superintendent, or they don't have a vision, or there's a lot of drama going on in the district and they want to be somewhere more stable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I tell people this. It's not, while I have a responsibility as a superintendent to ensure that we have a strategic plan and that we're implementing strategies, everybody in this room, everyone in this community is responsible for recruitment. Because they don't come just for me. They come because they hear what they hear about our students. They come because what they hear about our community. They come because what they hear about our schools. They come because of what we communicate about our community, about our school district. So I can assure you that they're coming. You know why they're coming? Because they're hearing that Clayton County has a vision and they're moving in the right direction. Now, once they come, that's recruitment. So we're down from 250 to about 60. Not bad. Still got work to do, because I want that to get to what? But once I recruit them, you want to what? Retain them. Which means that all of us have got to work together to create environments where they feel supported in that very tough job of being a classroom teacher, where our students go to class, disciplined, does that make sense? And our teachers have got to see that our community supports them as classroom teachers. And you know why that's important? Because they are in the metro area. And if you don't do right by them, they've got about 20 plus other school districts that they can go and what? And work for. And that's why it's important. Yes, we have a plan. We currently have a plan. We're implementing that plan. We are recruiting. The numbers have improved significantly. But now we're in retain mode. What are we going to do to retain these teachers? If there's an opportunity, because we're one of the top paying districts in this metro area, but if there's an opportunity to be the top paying one, we'll fight for that. But I can assure you, the data, our HR people, they'll affirm, people don't normally leave because of the pay. They leave because of other reasons. And I think with us reducing the number of vacancies, that's helping. I think when you walk on campuses, you have orderly, organized campuses working toward high performance, that helps. You have a vision, goals, everybody working on the team in unison. I think that helps. Having coherence throughout the district, that helps. And having a very supportive community relative to the educational process. I think all of that helps relative to recruitment and retention of teachers. So, to answer your question, yes. If you want me to send that study to you that shows where we rank as a district in teacher salary, I'll be glad to send it to you. That's public knowledge, just so you'll see, because it's important that we be informed so we can help inform other people. We are one of the higher paying metro districts. And the board last year did a mid-year bonus. That adds to one's annual salary, doesn't it? Now, we're not doing one this year, mid-year, but you never know. You never know.
But actually, I was referring to the pay.
The pay schedule?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't answer that one. The twice a month. Everybody want to get paid twice a month. We're in the process. Our current system, whether you know it or not, this is why it's good to have these meetings. We use a very antiquated AS400 system. It doesn't lend itself to payment twice a month. It requires a whole lot of energy, that staffing and processes that clearly we don't have in place, or people we don't have in place because of the size of our district. So we're in the process. The board has already voted to purchase a new finance HR solution. And so we're in the process of doing we're rolling it out starting this week. We'll be sending out updates to all the employees, and one of the areas that we will be addressing within the year or so will be the pay, the request to go to being paid twice a month. Because we do know that some people, they may get paid the same, but it just looks better when you get it twice a month than once a month. You know, it's a whole lot easier to go 14 days than to go 30 without pay. or 31. So we hear you, so just be patient with us as we implement the new solution, okay?
Good evening, Eureka Jackson, Riverdale High School Administrator. Dr. Beasley, how is it determined what schools receive what programs as far as college and career-ready programs are going to be concerned with the high schools? And for the high schools, how is this going to look when students want to go to a particular school because their home school does not offer that program? What is this going to look like?
Well, a part of the conversation is ensuring that we have a pretty robust school choice process, which means that sometimes if a program is not offered at a school, the student may have an opportunity to go to another location. But if we're doing a college and career academy, hopefully we won't have that dynamic. But the career academy, college and career academy will have very specific programs that are offered and available to every student in the school system. Currently, we have a variety of things that we do to select programs at schools. Of course, student interest, principals' interest, looking at the resources within the community, etc., to determine what programs currently exist. So currently, all of our schools have some number and types of pathways. Some of those pathways will probably remain, but we're at a point now where we're having conversations to decide, do we need to modernize or align the pathways with the job employment outlook data again. And so we're in the process of going through that right now. But we do know that some programs will be at the school level and some will be at this college and career academy. And then we want to make sure we avoid duplication and a competition of efforts or priorities. And so that's just ongoing work. But mind you, the Career and College Academy is a few years out because we got to get a SPLOST 6 passed, and it will be a part of that, hopefully. But we continue to build the program and ramp up the programs that we currently have. We added the program here in firefighters here at Drew High School. We added film and theater at Mundy's Mill High School along with firefighter. We're adding aviation at North Clayton and Morrow. But a lot of those programs are being added because the principals have been working with the career technology and myself and others to implement those programs. Community interest also drives what's occurring. Like I didn't mention at Jonesboro, we're doing a political leadership academy there because they have such a good jury mock trial team. So we're adding a political leadership academy there. So there are many factors that go into what programs exist at what school. And we do know that at some point, depending on how the programs are offered, we may have to have a more robust process of people applying and across the county to go to different schools, which can be a good thing. Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, well, thanks everybody. It's been a good evening. I'll hang around a few minutes before I go home and eat me a nice salad I believe my wife prepared, which means I'm gonna be hungry by 3 in the morning, right? But thanks everybody. We appreciate you all.